do you want me to do, Lord? I'm ready, I'm willing, I'm your servant, Lord. Where do you want me to go, Lord? Spirit, show me, Spirit, guide me, I will follow you.
Passage of Scripture holds special meaning, personal meaning for me. 5.5 years ago, I was on a silent retreat. And on my third day, I was hiking on a trail through the woods. And I found an area where I just felt like I needed to sit down on the ground and meditate and pray. I spent, I don't know how long, it could have been hours, in silence, solitude, presence. And something happened. something very profound that is difficult for me to put into words and explain. But one of the results of this incredible experience was God clarified my purpose in life. And it was partially revealed to me through this passage of Scripture from last week's gospel reading, Matthew chapter 13, verse 52. Every teacher of Scripture who has been trained in the kingdom of heaven is like a homeowner who brings out of his storeroom both new and old treasure. In this moment, 5.5 years ago, surrounded by trees, I knew with absolute confidence why I existed. And that was a tremendous blessing and gift to know with absolute clarity what my purpose in life is, what my calling is, what my vocation is. And whenever I get a little lost, a little confused, when I begin to wonder, why am I here? What am I doing? What am I supposed to be focusing on? Eventually, Spirit takes me back to that day on that trail in the woods and reminds me of my purpose. I exist to teach people the wisdom of God, bringing them both old and new treasure, affirming the old that they are already familiar with, while simultaneously opening them up to the new, which they are unfamiliar with. And both are so important, both the old and the new, because there's an underlying purpose to my calling. God hasn't called and equipped me to teach you knowledge so that you can mentally and intellectually comprehend new information. The purpose of spiritual teaching is growth. The point of all genuine spiritual teaching is so that others will grow. And all genuine spiritual understanding always brings growth, transformation, change. And that's why it's so important to have both the old and the new. Think of the old as establishing roots in the ground. Imagine our spiritual lives are like seeds in the soil. The soil is what is familiar. The soil is what is old. And we need to grow roots that deepen our rootedness into the old, into the familiar, into the soil. But that's only half of what it means to grow. We also need to break through the soil into the new openness of the sky and expand and grow upward into the unfamiliar as well. Spiritual teaching, the whole point is so that we will grow. To borrow the old parenting cliche, teaching is about helping people grow roots and wings. James, the brother of Jesus, says, be doers of the word, not just hearers only. In fact, James says, the person who understands something but doesn't do it, doesn't apply it to their lives, well, that person is more foolish than someone who doesn't understand something in the first place. My life coach years ago put it this way, Troy, information without application is just entertainment. To not understand something, that's what we call ignorance. To understand something and not apply it, that's foolishness. To understand something and then apply it to our lives, that is wisdom. And that is the purpose of growth. Christopher Rice wrote this. It says, knowledge is measuring that a desert path is 12.4 miles long. Wisdom is packing enough water for the hike. That's the difference. Now he also says insight is building a lemonade stand at mile 6. We're not going to get into insight today, but the difference between knowledge and wisdom is essentially wisdom is putting knowledge into action. Wisdom is actually packing and bringing the water along for the journey. Now, Jesus puts it this way. He says, wisdom is vindicated, it is validated by what it gives birth to, by what it manifests and materializes in our lives. Jesus also says a tree is known by its fruit, by what it produces. Wisdom produces. Wisdom is embodied. Wisdom is lived. It's not just an intellectual comprehension. Now, the modern version of church seems to be focused, maybe even obsessed, with dispensing knowledge week after week. Why else would we need a new sermon every Sunday? New information, new funny stories, new knowledge. But here's the thing, Christ isn't interested in a church full of knowledgeable Christians. Christ's desire for us is to be wise human beings. Be wise as serpents, as innocent as doves. Wisdom is the goal. And growth is what happens when our knowledge becomes wisdom. My parents had a rule growing up. The rule was we had to finish everything on our plates before we could have seconds. Before I could have more roast beef or more potatoes or more bread, I had to finish those Brussels sprouts on my plate. Now, I didn't care for the rule, to be honest. I didn't like it at all. But what's interesting, on another spiritual retreat, about 8 years ago, I sensed the Spirit of God revealing this to me. Troy, I can't teach you anything new until you are practicing what I've already taught you. I can't reveal anything new to you until you are applying what I've already revealed to you in your life. We must be doers of the word, not hearers only. You see, God will not be mocked. When God reveals something to us, when God teaches us something, that comes with an expectation that we do it, that we practice that we apply that. So I ask you, what is the last thing God revealed to you or convicted you of? When's the last time you sensed divine Spirit nudging you to do something, or to change something, or to stop doing something, or start doing something? Take a minute. Think about that. Now, have you done it? Have you made that change? Have you started doing what God asked you to do, or stopped doing what God asked you to stop doing? You see, I don't think you can expect more revelation from God until you are putting into practice what God has already revealed to you. I don't think you can expect new wisdom and insight and teaching from the Spirit until you are already applying what Divine Spirit has taught you. on yet another silent retreat. I think it was 2011. I was looking for direction. Spirit, guide me. Spirit, show me the way. I'm not sure what to do. God, can you direct my steps? I'm sure you've made similar prayers at some point in your life. About 4 days into my retreat, I had a profound moment of clarity. And the moment of clarity brought this insight. Troy, almost all of your struggles, confusion, and issues in your spiritual life have practical solutions. Troy, you already know what you need to be doing to grow. You already know what you need to be doing to move forward spiritually. Troy, you already know you need to eat better, so do it. You already know that you need to be getting more sleep and to be exercising more. You need to be taking care of your body. It's the temple of the living God. You already know what you need to do, so just do it. You already know that you need to be working on improving your communication with your wife, so just do it. 99.9% of the time, we already know what we need to be doing. We don't need to cry out to God, what should I be doing? Spirit, guide me. Spirit, show me the way. Just do what you already know you need to be doing. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is go rake the leaves, or clean your room, or wash the dishes, or maybe take a break from work and go spend time with your partner, your child, maybe an old friend that you haven't talked to in a while. For most of us, there are many, many things that we know we should be doing. And that's part of the problem. It can be overwhelming. Where do we start? Where do we begin? So we procrastinate, we push things off. The hardest part with most things is getting started. Every spring and fall, we clean out our garage. And the hardest part, without question, is getting started. Once we get into it, things move quite quickly. The task is never as monumental as it seems right before you begin. But when I walk into that garage and see all the stuff and the sawdust and the dirt, I ask myself, where on earth do we begin? And I've learned that it doesn't matter which corner we start in or what section we begin with. The key is to just get started. And so it is with our lives. You can probably think of 2, 3, maybe a dozen things that you should be doing, that you ought to be doing. Don't focus on all the things you need to be doing or working on or changing in your life. Just focus on one thing. One thing. And then with that one thing, just get started. It doesn't matter where. Just begin somewhere, anywhere. Because starting is the hardest part. When you're doing what you already know you need to be doing, you enter a higher state of being. You feel better. You feel less weighed down. Because ignoring the things in your life that you could be working on and improving, those are chains that hold you down. But when you start to do what you already know you need to do, it's like the weight of the world is lifted from your shoulders. You like yourself more. You like who you are more. You believe in yourself more. You have more confidence. Your quality of life improves drastically. You have more joy. You have more peace. You have more stamina. You have more energy. You have more patience. You have more hope. This is a huge truth that we often ignore. That every one of us has the ability to improve the quality of our lives right now, today, if we really wanted to. Because all we need to do is do what we already know we should be doing, to work on what we know we should be working on, to taking care of what we know we should be taking care of. And when we do, we automatically and almost instantly increase our level of happiness, contentment, peace, confidence, hope. Just like that. So do it. Most of my moments of clarity in life have come when I've taken time for silence and solitude. Meditation, a walk through nature, a silent retreat, even mowing the lawn. There's so many ways to create space in our lives to disconnect from all the noise and distractions. And the reason this is so important is it's the only way we can tune into the still, small voice of God. When you always have the TV on in the background, or you always have earbuds in and you're listening to music or a podcast, or you always have a screen in front of your face, what you're doing is constantly filling the spaciousness, the emptiness where divine Spirit wants to flow. You see, that this emptiness, this spaciousness is a void, and it terrifies most of us. So we constantly fill it with something. But it's only in being with the spaciousness, sitting with the emptiness, getting out of our minds and into our senses and into our bodies, it's only then that we can stumble upon moments of clarity, or what some of us call God moments. This is certainly how it works in my life, and it seems to be how it worked in Jesus' life. As we read through the Gospels, Jesus is constantly getting away from the crowds, from the noise, from the distractions, from the busyness, and finding solitary places where he can be silent, be present. I mean, sometimes Jesus would spend all night in silence and solitude, hours. Before Jesus' ministry began, he spent 40 days in solitude and silence. Philippians 2, Paul tells us that Jesus emptied himself. This emptiness is not optional for us if we want to grow spiritually. You see, it's only when we create this emptiness and spaciousness in our lives that divine Spirit can flow into our lives. You can't fill something up that's already full. Meister Eckhart says, when God finds you ready and empty, God must act and fill you to overflowing with himself, just as sunlight must flood and fill the clear, pure air. God cannot fail to do this when God finds you so empty and bare. Friends, how are you creating emptiness and spaciousness in your lives for divine Spirit to flow? No other generation before us has had so many options to fill the spaciousness in our lives. Netflix, 24-hour news cycles, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, smartphones, computers, tablets. Our devices have become our light. Now, I'm not saying you need to get rid of your TV, your smartphone, your tablet, social media. But I am challenging you to ask yourself some honest questions. Ask yourself, how is this affecting me? How much time am I spending on these devices? Am I drowning out the still small voice of God because I am always plugged into one of my devices? Or am I in control? Or are these devices controlling me? There is no denying that our computers, our smartphones, our tablets are incredible gifts and powerful tools that can be used for good. without question. But I also think there's no denying that we are on our screens too much. Same with social media. I think there's no denying that these are incredible opportunities to communicate and connect with other people. But I also think there is no denying that there is great potential for harm, profoundly negative impacts upon the lives of those who use them. So my challenge for you is this, at least for a while. Try deleting a couple apps. That's it. Maybe delete Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, your news feed from your phone. Maybe you relegate that to 1 hour in the evening on your computer, but not on your phone so that you're on it all day. Or better yet, try not using social media for a week, or let's say 3 days. See what happens. See if you engage more with others. See if your quality of life improves. See if you can do it. I mean, if you can't go without Facebook or Instagram or Twitter for 3 days, you have a problem. If you can't go without your news feed, checking the news for 3 days, you have an addiction. If you can't turn off your phone, your computer, your TV, your tablet, if you can't turn them off for 1 whole day, I mean, shut them off and leave them off for 24 hours, if you can't do that, you might want to reevaluate your relationship with your devices. Because for many of us, our devices have become our vices. Fasting is an essential practice of Christian spirituality. And today I'm convinced that includes fasting from things like TV, social media, the news. If you want to grow and open yourself up to the still small voice of God, without question, you need to start regularly fasting from one of the greatest sources of noise in your life, your devices. It will be hard. For some of you, it will be really hard. But don't stop when it gets difficult. Remember, the darkest hour is just before dawn. Breakthroughs often come when things are most painful and difficult. Lean into the discomfort. That is part of the liberating process. If it was easy to create spaciousness and emptiness in your life, then everyone would be doing it. It is hard. But the greatest things in life are difficult. Now, I should clarify, I'm not just talking to young people here. We are all addicted to the noise of social media, to Netflix, to the news, to our precious screens. So I'm encouraging all of you, take a minute, check in with your heart. Is this something you know you need to do? And if it is, do it. Just get started. Choose one thing and begin. Start creating spaciousness and emptiness in your life for God and for moments of clarity.
You don't live in your living room. You watch other people pretend to live on a flashing screen. I see the light show in your window as I walk by. in your living room. You hide away from the friends you're too afraid to make. I see your sorrow in your doorway, and painted over loneliness, it's spilled out on your porch. Living room is a lie. There's no life in becoming a shadow, walking away from the world outside into a life that's not real.